Welcome to the Halliwell Manor. I'm Max.
And I'm Tina.
And we're here to discuss Season 3, Episode 17 of Charmed.
Pre-witched. Is that a pun?
It's one of those things that feels like it should be wordplay, but isn't. I mean, I don't know what it could possibly be a play on words on.
Right. I mean, this is the episode before they were witches. Pre-witched. I will say, is a good sentiment for this entire episode.
I really wanted to like it. There are things I do like about it.
Mm-hmm.
Honestly, I really like the bits we get with Grams.
Well, I feel like it's always good when Grams is there, but first of all, her action, like the thrust of the plot in this episode,
does not reflect her at all.
It feels very out of character for her.
Sorry for interrupting.
Well, that's what I was going to say.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's, I don't know,
Yeah, Grams is, I don't want to say evil or power hungry, but
power hungry, that's, yeah.
I really, and again, this does feel like kind of, is that 70s episode even canon anymore? Like, it dealt very heavily with old dad, and, like, I mean, I love that take on Grams, and it is sort of what we see of Grams going onward, but the whole, they stripped the girls of their powers to protect them from some, punk-ass warlock who we never hear from again.
Right.
Like that doesn't really jive with anything. Why? I guess he needed a power of 3 spell to kill him. I don't remember the episode well enough, and it seemed like a real weak sauce reason for them to strip the Charmed Ones of their powers.
Mm-hmm. And...
But it also doesn't come up in this episode, because this episode deals with, in its flashbacks, it deals with Grams deciding to permanently strip the girls of their powers, and the initial reason she stripped them of their powers never comes into play. Right.
Yeah. And also, it's nonsensical, because the whole point was... And this is weird, because this also doesn't work with that 70s episode. This doesn't work with anything that's been established. You know what? That's just got to be non-canonical. There's too much that doesn't work with that being the reason that their powers were bound. But the whole deal was their powers wouldn't be unlocked until they were together and, like...
Grams was dead.
Well, no. They had to, like, be sisters, right? Like, they had to feel the sister bond before they would get their powers, and that has nothing to do with locking their powers away to keep them from this warlock. And Grams' thing here is she's worried that they're never going to be sisterly with each other, so she better just take the powers away for good. But if they're only going to get the powers when they're ready for the powers, then why are you taking away the powers because you think they're not ready?
Yeah, and again, this is a thing we've seen before in Charmed, and I think we'll see again in the future that, like, their powers are very much connected to their bond as sisters. If they ever turn their powers against each other, they lose them. Something which is so inconsistently enforced, but... Eh.
Also, you know what could have strengthened their bond as sisters? Raising them to know that they are the Charmed Ones and what that means, and teaching them to use their powers.
Again, continuity is never really a strong point of Charmed, but later in the show, they kind of ditch the whole them not knowing they were witches since they were children thing. There is a line later in Charmed where Grams' ghost is talking to Piper, and she's like, remember when we sat down and had the witch talk? And I'm like,
no,
because that never happened. I mean, I guess it might have happened if that 70s episode is canon, and Piper and Prue had their powers when they were, like, respectively 3 and 5, but...
I don't know. I mean, we see that Phoebe knew about the Woogie, but then she just assumed that was a childhood thing, like a childhood monster.
Well, yeah, because their powers were sealed away before she was born, which doesn't really work with the whole thing where Patty had one last premonition and it was of Piper on her wedding day.
Well, I mean, she could have had that premonition before
She had one really quickly before, because in that 70s episode, like, the flashback part, doesn't it end with the Graham stripping them of their powers?
Yes, but I think she was getting premonitions from Phoebe.
Yeah, before then, but did she...
So she could have gotten the wedding premonition, like she might have gotten the wedding premonition, like, as soon as she was pregnant.
I mean,
I don't know why I'm trying to make it work. It's all a mess.
Charmed does not care about continuity, which is fine. This was I mean, I know they get big bads later, but Charmed was basically always at least kind of a Monster of the Week show.
Oh, yeah. Well, I mean, but this episode is just so much filler. It's...
Yeah. Oh, yeah. This episode is... It's not good. It's not the worst episode ever, but, like...
So it opens with Piper and Leo having sex in the shower, because that's what newlyweds do, I guess. Also, I'm just gonna say this. Shower sex is terrible.
I know. I mean, I don't want to get into a whole thing about it, but, like...
Only one of you can be under the spray at one time, so, like, one of you is cold and one of you is wet.
Also, water, not a lubricant.
Yes.
Like,
if you have a special shower that has, like, 2 nozzles...
It's like that, what was that old movie? I want to say North by Northwest, but I know that's wrong. Where, like, having sex on the beach is not a feasible thing. As anyone who's been to the beach can tell. Even making out on the beach. Like, but especially the whole, having sex in the ocean's wake. Like, yeah, you know what you really want involved in your sex life? Salt water and... seaweed.
And sand.
And sand. Oh, and sand. Yeah, you know what's fun? Getting sand in your urethra. That's something you want to have happen.
Okay, that's horrifying. Also, you're thinking of From Here to Eternity, I'm pretty sure.
Thank you, yes. It's been parodied so much I couldn't think of the original. The best for my money is, of course, The Simpsons, where Itchy and Scratchy were doing it.
Oh, yeah! See, that's okay, because they're cartoons.
Even in universe.
Yes!
Also, it was part of a cigarette ad, I believe, in universe.
Yeah, I think that was right.
Back when cartoons used to be able to advertise... Back when you could advertise cigarettes, period.
Yeah.
I mean, I know that was the joke in the universe that it was like...
But it's still weird that, like, the Flintstones used to do ads for cigarettes and stuff.
Yeah, Winston tastes good like a cigarette should.
Okay, we're not doing cigarette advertisements.
No, I was quoting the Flintstones.
No, I know.
I know. Also, I don't believe Winston exists anymore, so it's okay for us to... I don't know what cigarette brands exist anymore. I saw this thing where they were talking about how, like, you might think that they're being replaced by vape or whatever because you don't really see cigarettes as much anymore, but it's just not really an America thing anymore. Like, tobacco sales are consistent. It's just not really...
High.
No, it's not really in America anymore.
Oh, yeah.
Which is... odd to think about, but...
So, Phoebe barges into the bathroom because she needs something from the bathroom while Piper and Leo are having their shower sex, but she has her hand over her eyes. She's like, it's okay, I'm not looking! Go ahead and keep fucking my sister! And then, obviously that's a mood killer for them, so they put on their robes and they go out into their bedroom, and... Prue comes in and she's like, hey, I'm just looking for my keys. I can't find my keys.
Why would your keys be in Piper and Leo's bedroom?
That is a good question.
I mean, I get what they're doing here because the conflict of the episode, in the largest finger quotes possible, is, are Piper and Leo gonna move out of the house? Which, I think Piper's the one sister who never moves out of the house throughout the course of the show.
I wouldn't say Prue moves out. She dies.
Well, she's not buried in the house. Yes, I guess that's technically not moving out. She moved out of the house when Shax blew her through that wall.
Too soon. Too soon.
Because it hasn't happened
yet, yes.
But both Paige and Phoebe live outside of the house, but I don't feel like Piper ever really does.
No, I think that's correct, yeah.
Also, she's the only one to show up for the finale.
Oh, God. Anyway, Piper tells Leo that she and Prue used to live together in an apartment, and then they moved back here to take care of Grams when she got sick, and the people that they were subletting their apartment to are leaving now, so hey, they can go back to that apartment.
Are they still subletting? It's been like 4 years.
Well, she actually says...
No, it's been 6 years.
So I'm not sure what the situation was. She says that they'll give Piper and Leo first shot at the lease, but that's not how leases work. The landlords choose that. So it might be that they sublet to these people and then they took over the lease at some point, and now they're going to sublet to Piper and Leo. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter.
Nothing in this episode matters.
Anyway.
So we cut from Piper being like, hey, maybe we should move out of the house, and Leo being like, really? 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 I mean, I know I can just teleport, so it's whatever, but, like, come on. That's not gonna happen.
Right? I mean, remember Full House? Uncle Jesse didn't even move out of the house when he got married and had twins. They just all lived in the attic.
Yeah. And this isn't Full House. They're not building another set for this. This isn't that season of Glee where half of the cast was inexplicably in New York.
It wasn't inexplicable. They graduated and then they went to go make it.
Then stop following those characters. Don't do this weird thing where half the cast is in New York and half of the cast is still in high school. It's weird. Do
you remember when they were casting the kids to be, like, the upcoming new kids in high school?
The Glee project.
Yes.
And they had, like, the white dude with dreadlocks who was in, like, 3 episodes as, oh, it's the Irish transfer student.
Yes!
Who Santana physically assaults, but it's okay because she's a closeted lesbian, so she can physically assault whoever she wants to.
Okay, I don't remember that plot point.
Well, she did it with dodgeball, so it's okay.
Oh, well, that's school sanctioned.
Yeah, it's okay that she broke his nose.
Hey, it's school sanctioned assault. Wait, she hit him in the face? That's a penalty in dodgeball.
Well, and I don't think it was during a game.
Oh. I don't know. I stopped watching Glee. Actually, so I stopped watching Glee the episode before the Rocky Horror episode. That was, whatever episode that was the last episode of Glee I ever watched.
I stopped watching around the college split, but the show's, I mean, I like amoral characters, but the show's weird thing with who was bad and for what just... And it cycled between being, like, 3 completely different shows.
So the AV Club, when they did their recaps, actually really covered the fact that it was 3 shows at war with each other, right? It was the show that was a satire of high school shows. It was the show that was actually a sappy high school show. And then it was the show that was, like, that just wanted to be a musical and nothing else.
Yeah.
And, like, the pilot was really that satire of high school shows.
Well, I mean, was it first season, the first, like, 12 episodes, where they weren't sure if they were going to get picked up for either a full season or a second season? It was basically just, what was the creator's name?
Ryan Murphy.
Yeah, I mean, it was Ryan Murphy, and he was basically just doing his old show Popular again, except with music. Oh, were we not a fan of Popular?
I do not care for Popular. At all.
I only watched a couple episodes. I liked it fine, but never, not really enough to revisit it. Was it too Ryan Murphy-y for you?
Yeah, let's go with that. It was too Ryan Murphy-y.
I mean, it was a, like, tongue-in-cheek parody of, like, the OC and stuff, but not really that good. I mean, it was no Strangers with Candy.
I don't want to go off on a whole thing here, but it had an undercurrent of misogyny to it that just made it very difficult for me to watch.
A Ryan Murphy show being misogynist? I don't believe that for a second, my word.
I know. It's shocking. It's shocking. Yeah. But the problem with Glee is that... What?
We will get back to Charmed at some point, but I do want to hear what is the problem with Glee.
You can't start out as a cartoonish satire and then try to switch gears into being sincere. Like, you can't have Jane Lynch being, like, a cartoonish villain and then all of a sudden be like, but you know what really matters? The friends we made along the way. Like, you can't. That's why who's good and who's evil doesn't make any sense.
I just... Like, in the early episodes, it was really, like, the episode where they're having the fundraiser to raise money for the Glee Club, and Puck just makes pot cookies so people will want to eat more, or how Sue like literally shoves someone down the stairs so that she can
Yes.
like. Although God, I love Jane Lynch so much.
Oh, I mean, of course.
And any show that gives her long speeches about how evil she is.
Well, that's the thing. If they had kept her cartoonishly evil and the show had stayed that tonally, that would have made sense. That would have been fine. But
in my all lesbian version of the Justice League, she was Batman.
I did not. I don't think I saw you do your all lesbian version of the Justice League.
Yeah.
Who was Wonder Woman?
Oh God, who was Wonder Woman? Oh, I don't remember who was Wonder Woman.
Wait. Who was Aquaman?
Margaret Cho.
Interesting.
Actually, I don't think I did a Wonder Woman incarnation. The token female member of the League, I went classic, Black Canary.
Oh, and
Nathan Lane.
Okay.
Not a lesbian, but
Right. I gotcha.
Honest to God, I got really attached to the idea of Nathan Lane as Black Canary, even though there's no way in hell that would ever happen. He would be really good at it, though.
So back in Charmed, we see a witch doing a spell, and
hey, she's not blonde, but she is black, so we know that she is not making it out of this scene alive.
God, and you know what? I didn't realize until this scene came on and we started getting ready to talk about it, but I hate this plot so much, and I hate this villain so much.
He's very, very irritating.
Well, it's not just that. It's wrong. It's fundamentally wrong. The villain is her familiar.
Yes, she's casting a spell. She's got a neat little levitating trick, which I guess it's probably weaker than Prue's telekinesis because, telekinesis is supposed to be a special charmed one power, but clearly the Switch has it too.
Mm-hmm.
She's casting a spell, and these candles are levitating around her when suddenly her cat starts knocking potions off of her potion shelf, and she's like, "Shadow, no!" And he knocks down the turn into a person potion.
Okay, so I don't think he knocked down the turn into a person potion. I think because he knocks down like 3 bottles. I think he knocked down the 3 ingredients needed to turn into a person, and then he jumps into the puddle and turns into a person.
And then he throws the potion that kills witches at that. Maybe don't keep that in your house, lady. But yeah, I don't conceptually hate this idea. It's just, it doesn't work in this episode because they really don't do anything with it. Having a witch's familiar turn against her is an interesting idea, I think.
It just really rubs me the wrong way. Like, your familiar shouldn't be able, like you should have a bond with your familiar that means that you can't turn against each other. And I mean, maybe I just play too much D&D, but it bothers me. Like, It feels like fundamentally wrong. Like it's like if your daemons in the Golden Compass like could turn against you.
I mean, see, the thing is, I think it could work if it was more of sort of the focal point of the episode. If like the witch was trying to suppress darker instincts and they were going into her familiar, and that's why the familiar turns against her. Right,
or conversely, if like she had turned evil and the familiar was like the part of her soul that was still, drawn to good magic. Like, yes, that could have been an interesting story, but just there's not even an explanation given. Her familiar just went bad.
Yeah, like it's not narratively satisfying. Her familiar turned on her, turned into a human dude, and then threw a witch-killing potion at her and killed her. Which, I mean, it's kind of ambiguous until she shows up as a ghost later in the episode, because she's just like, "No!" And then there's like a wind effect over her.
Yeah, it's weird. It's weird.
I feel bad for this actress.
I do too.
Also, does Charmed have any non-Daryl running black characters? Long running. I mean, like, not like that inspector guy who was in 3 episodes before, or DA inspector guy, the one who died so that Prue could learn a lesson about not being able to save everyone, which you'd think she would know at this point in the show, but
I can't think of anyone.
It's not great, Charmed.
No.
I mean,
what do you think this is, Buffy?
Hey, Buffy had like 2 characters of color who lasted. Oh no, wait, Kendra died at the end of season.
Kendra doesn't count. They did Kendra dirty.
Yeah, because I was like, Kendra made it for more than 1 season, right? And I'm like, nope, she didn't. Robin Wood was cool, but he was only in the last season.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, the last season tried to diversify it some, although the whole thing with the Shadow Man was so deeply... And, oh god, in the spirit of the First Slayer, Buffy had some really big issues with race.
Yeah.
Not super surprisingly, given the recent stuff with Joss Whedon.
Wait, Joss Whedon? Joss Whedon had issues with race?
Hey, Gunn made it through most of Angel, and he had, like, character arcs and stuff.
Yeah, but by that time, Joss Whedon was doing 3 shows simultaneously, so good stuff was allowed to leak out because he was stretched so thin.
Also, he wasn't allowed to come out. The actor, J. August, whatever, the guy who played Gunn, he wasn't allowed to come out of the closet because of Angel, so that was a whole different thing.
God.
Oh my god, we should get back to talking about Charmed where it's just, regular bad and not...
So the sisters are sitting around the kitchen table and they're all fighting because there's not enough room in the house and...
Everyone's eating each other's cereal.
And reading each other's newspapers.
Oh my god, this is... I know it's the early 2000s, but so many 90s problems.
And Leo's like, well, guess what? Piper and I are going to move out, so everything's going to be okay.
And Piper's like, Leo, I thought we were going to talk about the best way to break the news to everyone. You guys have been married for like a week. What is it with all this fighting?
Well, I mean, they were fighting pretty hard before they got married, too.
True love.
Anyway, Piper's trying to argue to her sisters that it makes sense for her to move out because now she's a married woman, and so she shouldn't be staying, with her sisters now that she has a husband because that's the family that counts now. But it's like...
Yeah, she's like, I have 2 families now, and the one with a penis that has sex with me is clearly the more important one. Which, oof.
But also, it's like, your Charmed one thing is way more important than your marriage. I'm sorry. It's just a fact.
It really, really is. And also, like, I know it's not as big a part of the show as it should be, but the Power of 3 really should be over the Nexus and together all the time. And I know it's the background noise of our show, but you should have words up. But your big thing with the house should be protecting the Nexus.
Oh my god, they hardly even talk about the Nexus. Like, the Nexus is basically their Hellmouth, and it never comes up.
Well, I mean,
it's... Like, 3 episodes it comes up.
Well, it's a big thing in, like, every season finale after a certain point, where it's like, oh, the Source is after the Nexus for the one episode where we need to kill the Source before it goes into coal. And then I think Zanku is after the Nexus, and they killed him to, like, blow it up. They blew it up to kill him.
I can't wait till we get to that episode.
And then, like, they absorb its power so that they can fight Billy and Christy. Yeah, we can't beat up Big Bang Theory and her sister unless we absorb the Nexus. That's a necessary thing. So we cut from the argument over whether or not Piper and Leo should move out of the house to a flashback where Prue and Piper are in the kitchen with Grams, who is not dead yet.
Yep. And Prue is on the phone dealing with wedding stuff because she's still engaged to Roger.
A Roger mention. Wow, in season 3.
Yeah. And she's talking about moving in, with Roger, getting away from her sister, who has, like, an office job. And Grams is all like...
Why don't you look at the newspaper? No one's underlooked any chef positions.
And then it's funny, right? Because she gives she pulls out a camera to like present it to Prue. She's like, "Look, a camera!" Like,
remember when your dream was being a photographer? And Prue's like, I mean, even in present times, it barely comes up. It was a huge random shift my character made that just never had any plot impact after a certain point.
yeah.
I mean, I guess she took that lady's picture in the,
Oh, yeah.
She took, and I guess she was taking pictures at the beach, and that was the reason they were at the beach where their mom died, but...
The beach where they went after their mom died.
Yeah, but, like, it really doesn't feel like it's, you know, a part of the show that was worth completely altering her character, and giving up Buckland's was such a good story, and it was such a good story engine that they just dropped for the photography thing, which is a bad story engine. I'm sorry. Like, she almost dated an actor one time. She was on a photo shoot when she saw, the monkey astral project.
Wait, don't forget the luck of the Irish.
Oh, right, yeah.
The super unlucky woman who's also Irish, so that's definitely a story that they should print in their alt weekly. Actually, you know what? That would totally be a story. Anyway.
I guess it also came into play. You know what? It's come into play a lot. I feel like it's objectively a worse story device than the auction house. Like, she also got blinded by photochemicals in the episode with her stalker.
Oh, yeah. You know what? The photography thing wouldn't be so bad if it felt organic, because it does, like, all the things you're talking about is, like, it's, organically bringing us stories, as opposed to the auction house where it could be, like, a different, a monster of the week every week, with items and stuff.
The Cursed Painting episode is one of the stronger episodes of whatever season it was in.
It really is. But the thing is, if her being a photographer felt more integrated into the show, it would make more sense, but it, like, only comes up when they want to make it part of the plot.
So, Grams is trying to push the girls to, follow their dreams or whatever, and Prue's like, whatever, Grams, I'm gonna move in with Roger as soon as we're married. And Piper's like, you can't move in with Roger. We need to take care of Grams, who's sick. And Grams is like, and also in the room with you. Come on.
This is really weird, because they're acting like Prue and Piper are having a hard time living together even now, even here, and Prue's like 1 foot out the door to be with Roger. But we just learned that they were living together in an apartment before this. Surely they have even more room here.
Yeah, Okay, so this argument is interrupted when a policeman knocks at the door with Phoebe in tow.
2 policemen. Phoebe it required 2 policemen bringing her home. Also, she's wearing, like, a t-shirt, like a Ringer t-shirt that you would buy at, like, Foot Locker.
Mm-hmm.
And then leather pants and a leather vest over it. Like, this is a ridiculous outfit.
Oh, also everyone has wigs so that they have their season 1 hair.
Yes.
Which, I guess they just had that hair consistently for 3 years.
Yeah, I mean, that's not that unusual.
I guess. But, yeah, apparently Phoebe says that she accidentally left the store with shoes she was just trying on. She wasn't stealing them or anything, and then the cops make her take off the shoes and hand them to them. Why wouldn't they
have done that at the store?
Yeah, they just let her wear them in the right... And did she leave the shoes she went to the store there? I don't know. I don't know. And Grams is all like, what about your destiny? And, okay, so we do this... You have to think of the future, Phoebe.
Oh, God. So we do this transition where it cuts from her, like, taking off the shoes that she stole to her in the present day being all responsible and being like, oh, I can't buy these shoes in a shoe store. Being like, oh, I can't buy these shoes. They're too expensive. Oh, but I do want to try these on. And then the cat shows up. The cat who's now human.
Oh, I think you're smoothing over the guy helping her try on shoes. The shoe store associate is probably a homosexual.
Yes.
In San Francisco. But yeah, no, he's like, I'll find you some new shoes. And she's like, yeah, thanks, yay. But then the cat familiar demon shows up and he's like...
Though he goes, those shoes are so last season. And then Phoebe throws a stiletto at him and it embeds in his forehead and he dusts.
Okay. That's... Okay, there are individual parts of this episode I think work, and I do like the concept of a cat demon you have to kill 9 times.
Yeah, that's a good plot.
But it doesn't work here. We cut from Phoebe very easily vanquishing this demon to Piper getting boxes for them to move, and suddenly the same demon appears and he's like, hey, I'm gonna kill you unless you do something to kill me. And Leo's like, Piper, stab him with the box cutter. And Piper's like, when has that ever worked against demons? Don't demons always need, like, a vanquishing spell or a potion or whatever? And Leo's like, I don't know, just stab him and see what happens. And, you know, Piper stabs him and he pops like a balloon made out of balloon. I guess balloons naturally pop. You don't... I don't know where I was... He pops. And Piper's like, oh, that was ridiculously easy.
Okay, so I called out the really bad outfit that Phoebe was wearing in the flashback.
Mm-hmm.
So I just want to say that I love what Piper is wearing. She's wearing like a purple camisole and then over it a purple leather jacket, and I love it. It's like a purple leather blazer.
It's like she skinned a alien, I guess.
So now that if you're keeping track, the cat demon has been killed twice.
Mm-hmm.
And
we go back into a flashback, back in time, where Prue's yelling at Phoebe for being an irresponsible brat.
And we realize that the 3 of them are posed on the stairs outside the manor. This is the picture that represents their
sisterly bond.
Mm-hmm, where they move closer together in the picture when they're in a good place and further away when they're in a bad place. And oh my god, they're all being such brats. You are 3 full-grown women, and Grams just needs you to stand still and smile for 60 seconds so she can take a picture.
Yeah, like, it's not a huge request, but no, they can't stop arguing. And Prue brings up the thing that was in the pilot, the reason why she and Roger broke up. She says, Roger says that you tried to sleep with him, and Phoebe's like, I would not fuck your fiance with someone else's vagina.
Can you imagine, like, not believing your sister on this? Like, this just blows my mind. The whole thing with Roger and Phoebe and Prue believing it just is really, really troubling. But
I don't get why Roger told her this. In the pilot episode, it was why she and Roger broke up. Roger told her that he slept with Phoebe.
Uh-huh.
Here, it just seems like he told her that Phoebe tried to sleep with him, which I guess makes more sense for a lie to tell.
No, I think he was telling her for a while that Phoebe wanted to have sex with him, that Phoebe was trying to seduce him. And then later he was like, oh, it worked, she seduced me.
To what end?
No idea.
It seemed like he wanted to marry Prue at some point. Was it just to be a dick? I don't get Roger as a character, but maybe
he and again, I'm like coming up with so much backstory that the show does not give us, but maybe he
wanted an out of the relationship.
No. Maybe he, I mean, obviously he was a jerk, and maybe he knew that Phoebe saw through him, so he wanted to drive a wedge between Phoebe and Prue so that she, like, wouldn't be an issue.
I guess. Anyway, the 3 sisters are arguing on the steps, and Grams is like, "Oh, my heart!" And they're like, "Grams, are you okay?" And she's like, "I will be okay if you just let me take the goddamn picture." So, they pose, but they're standing far away from each other in the pose, which you couldn't stand closer to each other. You couldn't smile for a picture for your very sick grandmother who raised you, apparently. The very sick thing, because her, ooh, my heart thing only ever seems to show up when they're arguing and she wants them to stop or, right before she dies.
Well, they did say when they were in the kitchen a couple scenes ago that she had just gotten out of the hospital, so...
Technically, that would be when, again, this continuity stuff is weird. We know that Piper met Jeremy, the warlock who tries to kill them in the first episode when Grams was in the hospital.
Oh, yeah.
I guess she met them... I guess she met him then, because I don't think they took Grams to the hospital. She dies in this episode, and it looks like they just take her, to the morgue.
Well, I mean, she could have met him, but they haven't been together enough for it to be a relationship at this point.
I mean, I'm pretty sure it was established she died at the hospital, and that's where he met her.
Oh.
But...
Oh, well.
Whatever. It's not like, again, trying to tie Charmed down to solid continuity is an exercise in futility.
Seriously. So we go back to the present, and the warlock appears again. This time it is Phoebe who stabs him in the back with an umbrella, causing him to discorporate.
She mentions that she'd killed him before, and Piper's like, oh, I killed him too. And Prue's like, also, I killed him at one point, apparently. I guess so they wouldn't have to do another death scene with... I don't know. But
wait, is that what happens? Did I black out? Why did they show Prue fighting the warlock in the attic? Am I losing my mind here?
No, it's weird. They just have her... Because Phoebe talks about it, Piper talks about it, and then Prue... It's such an offhand line. She's like, oh yeah, the warlock attacked me in the attic and I killed him. And then he shows up and they kill him again, but...
That's gotta be a deleted scene, right?
Probably, yeah. It's probably a deleted scene, but like... Why?
I mean, it has to be 9 times. I guess maybe the episode was running long? Because they created a villain who needs to be killed 9 times?
And they also had it be the episode where they intersperse it with flashbacks for no reason. Because it doesn't, outside of, I guess, them needing to stay in the house, it really doesn't intersect with the main plot at all.
And it doesn't intersect thematically either. Like, and I mean, it could have, right? If it had been about a familiar turning on a witch and breaking that bond, and also the sisterly bond, like, it could have worked. What is happening? This episode is so much nothing.
We could have found out that the reason that that dog that Grams owned ran away was because Grams cast it out of the house for being a bad familiar.
There is so much nothing in this episode that, like, it's just filled. It's filled to the brim with nothing. They go to the attic to look at the book shadows and figure out what to do, and Grams' ghost is like, we don't see her, but how she flips the pages of the book. She's like, do a seance! Do a seance!
Which I kind of assumed was to, talk to her, but it's not. It's to talk to that witch who was killed by the warlock in the opening, the witch who owned the familiar.
Mm-hmm.
So they summon her, and she's like, I'm part of the great beyond now. But before I died, he was my familiar, and he turned against me. And the thing is, once a familiar turns against a witch, he assumes a mortal form, and he has to die so he can be reborn as a full demon that is completely invincible. But since he was a cat, he has to be killed 9 times. And Prue's like, that's kind of a lot. That's a lot. Really? Really? And they're like, oh, he must have come after us, because Piper's like, well, why doesn't he just walk in front of a bus 9 times? And Phoebe's like, oh, he has to have confronted us because we're the most powerful witches in the world, so clearly only we could vanquish him, except they keep on, like...
Phoebe tapped him in the back with an umbrella and he died!
Yeah, like, she threw a shoe at his head and he died. Literally, I don't see why he couldn't just walk in front of a bus 9 times.
This is like Super Mario Brothers rules. Like, he gets brushed by an enemy and he dies.
Like, it's not like they're doing vanquishing spells on him. Also, since when do demons die from any of this stuff?
Yeah. Yeah, they haven't used magic to vanquish him at any point, right? Like... Phoebe killed him with a shoe. Well, I guess we don't know what happened in the attic.
Yeah, we don't know how Prue killed him, but So, Prue's like, wow, really sucks you're dead. You want us to, like, send your mom a note saying that you're happy in the afterlife or whatever? And she's like, I'm part of the great beyond now. I've evolved beyond such things as needing to send my mom a note telling her that I'm fine in the afterlife. Woo! I'm a ghost. And then they dismiss her.
Prue does say, she's like, hey, I'm super sorry that, like, you died and we're just, like, interrogating you like you're some sort of NPC villager.
Interesting that Prue's the one who seems to have an issue with treating someone like a plot device. It's weird that a character it's weird that one of the sisters feels bad about treating people like plot devices.
Well, to be fair, we are only in season 3. They haven't quite reached the point where...
Just throw the mermaid back in the ocean.
Yeah.
Which is one of my favorite bits. Is it weird that I'm looking forward to when they don't give a shit about fighting evil anymore?
No, it's not weird. Those are great. So...
Piper blows out the candle and sends the ghost back to Ghost World, which triggers another flashback to Grams, who... really bad witching Grams. She left a window open during her seance, and the candle blew out because of the wind, so she relights the candle once the door's closed, and hey, it's Patty.
Okay, but she's like, hey, sorry, the wind blew out the candle and we lost our connection. It's like when you have a bad... Like, this is not a... I mean, it is a seance, obviously, but Grams is just treating this like a long-distance phone call. She's just like... It's like when I have to turn off my Wi-Fi on my phone, or else my phone tries to do Wi-Fi calling, and then it doesn't, like, connect properly.
Yeah. So, she's like, Patty, I don't know what to do. They're not connecting as sisters, which means that they won't be able to fight the evil that will come for them once they become witches. And Patty's like, don't really have a choice, though. They're going to be the charmed ones. They need to become the charmed ones. And Grams is like, well, I do have a choice. And Patty's like, what? And Grams is like, never mind. Blows out the candle. Which, again, this is kind of a reverse of the thing that we saw in that 70s episode where Patty was not into them being witches, and Grams was all gung-ho about them being witches, but eh.
Also, I mean, if the problem is that they're not going to work together and develop the power of 3, but warlocks are going to be coming after them, so they're going to be in danger. But also, as I said at the top, they're not going to come into their powers until they activate their sister bond. Although, I guess it wasn't the sister bond that activated their powers, it was Phoebe casting the spell. But it's heavily implied, and even kind of stated outright in this episode, that that spell wouldn't have worked if they hadn't been, like, in the same house and being sisters. Anyway, in the present day, Phoebe goes into the kitchen, and the cat, Shadow is the cat's name. I don't know if we said that. Shadow is in the kitchen, and Phoebe stabs him, and is like, oh, god damn it, I wasn't supposed to kill him.
Yeah, and Piper and Prue come in, and Piper's like, really, Phoebe? Really? And she's like, it's instinct. We've been fighting demons for 3 years. If someone jumps out of the shadows at you, you fight back.
I do kind of love the kind of casual way that Piper and Prue run into the kitchen and see Phoebe standing there with the knife, and she's like, sorry. And they're like, Phoebe!
Okay, but the thing is, like, she doesn't stab him with the knife directly. She kicks him over a table, and when he stands up, there's a knife in his back.
Yeah, he slid over it on the counter.
And then it somehow got stuck in his... I'm sorry, is he a knife magnet? I don't see how that could have possibly killed him, or stabbed him in that... But, like, yeah. And they're like, I don't know what to do. We can't not kill him. He's a demon. Prue's like, well, I mean, I guess we could just try not killing him, right? Like, he can't kill us because apparently we're the only ones who can kill him.
Yeah, nobody else has a knife in their kitchen sitting on a counter. Only the charmed ones wear high heels. And umbrellas? Forget about it.
Only the charmed ones carry around cardboard boxes. I know it was the box cutter, but come on.
Oh, Kit Watch 2022.
Kit Watch 2022. I thought we were done with these, but they're like, they start talking about how I can't believe a familiar would ever turn against their witch. Do you think we have to worry about Kit? And then they flash cut to the most green screen cat in all of existence, sitting on the floor going, "Wow, I'm here, wow." Phoebe's like, well, I'm not changing in front of him ever again. And I'm like, Kit's a girl cat. Kit was a girl cat for like the first couple of seasons. That was a really established thing. When you cast the love spell, she was in heat, and all of the boy cats in the neighborhood were trying to break into your house. Like,
don't worry about it.
I mean, I know it could not possibly matter less. Kit watched 2022. It's a freaking miracle Kit actually showed up.
We also get, like, a thing where we flash back and Piper sees Kit on the porch, but I guess this is before they had taken Kit in, because Piper's like, "Go home, Kit!" Or
random cat, and this is an actual cat that Holly Marie Combs actually interacts with. She picks it up and she places it on the sidewalk. Like, could they just not get the cat for the other shot?
I mean, that's possible.
They couldn't just jam... They couldn't just get one shot of the cat sitting inside the house?
Okay, so I am going to bring up The Office, which is a real departure for us, because usually I talk about Buffy or Buffy. But no, I was listening to The Office ladies, and when they did the breakdown of the cold open, the fire drill cold open, and they described how much work went into the sequence where they throw Bandit into the ceiling, where Angela throws the cat into the ceiling and then it falls down somewhere else.
Yeah.
Like, I believe that they couldn't bring the cat into the house because it turns out cat wrangling is like a whole thing.
It's not even like the cat needed to do anything. You just needed a single shot of the cat sitting in the house.
Maybe either Shannon Doherty or Alyssa Milano refused to be around cats for some reason.
Entirely possible.
So, but
Shannon Doherty loves animals, as we know from that episode of, is it 90210 or...
BH 90210.
BH 90210, where they have that episode where Shannon Doherty keeps stealing animals for some reason.
Okay, I really liked that show. I'm sad that show's not getting a second season.
Oh, it's not?
No, I don't think so.
I mean, I enjoyed it too. It was a fun little meta-narrative for someone who did not watch the original Beverly Hills 90210. I love the fact that they just straight up ignored the fact that it got a reboot.
Yes. Which is, so just to be clear about all the names, the original series is Beverly Hills 90210.
Mm-hmm.
The reboot was called 90210. And the meta show that was about the cast of Beverly Hills 90210, a fictionalized version of the cast of Beverly Hills 90210, trying to do a revival, is called BH 90210.
Yep.
So back in the past, Shannon Doherty is like, "Hey, Piper." That's why it connects. Shannon Doherty's like, "Hey, Piper, would you be my maid of honor?" And Piper's like, "Me? Really? I'm your sister that you apparently share an apartment with. How could I have ever expected that you would ask me to be your maid of honor?"
I would be maid of honored. And Piper's like, "Do you think I can just not invite Phoebe to the wedding? Because I really don't want Phoebe to be there." And Piper's like, "Well, it'll probably break Grams' heart if you don't. And, she's having heart issues, so she should probably be there." And Prue's like, eh.
But also, I know I was just ragging on Prue for not believing Phoebe, and I still am irritated that she didn't believe Phoebe. But from her point of view, Phoebe is trying to bang her fiancé. Like, I think that's a good reason to not invite her to the wedding.
Yes. Also, your fiancé sucks and you shouldn't marry him, but...
Yeah, right? And then Piper is like, "But what's going to happen if you move? There are going to be all sorts of unintended consequences that I can't really articulate because we don't know at this point that we have witch powers."
Also, then I'm going to be the sad, lonely single woman because you'll be married and Phoebe's, 18, I guess?
Yeah.
And I will be at the age of, 21, will be a old maid. And then she, it's not like there's a perfect guy just around the corner for me. And then she bumps into Leo and she's like, "Sorry." And Leo's like, sorry. And then he orbs out in the middle of the street because I guess we just don't care about that.
Yeah.
Leo orbs out in public a lot, is all I'm saying.
So, back in the present, the sisters are having coffee at a cafe and trying to figure out what to do about Shadow, the cat warlock familiar. And then he shows up and is like, hey, here I am. Kill me.
And they're like, we're not going to kill you. We figured out your game. We're just going to do nothing. And then I guess you turn back into a cat or something. If you don't die. We forgot to mention there he needs to die 9 times before a new moon or the full moon or some moon related thing.
Well, I mean, there has to be a ticking clock. Otherwise, it's just going to get annoying.
Yeah. But if they don't kill him 9 times before then he won't turn into an immortal warlock thing. So they're like, we're just not going to kill you before the new moon, which is apparently like tonight or tomorrow or soonish. And he's like, well, I guess I'll just start stabbing waitresses until you kill me.
Yep, so he grabs a random waitress, and then Phoebe stabs him again. You know, Phoebe gets the biggest kill count in this episode.
Yeah. This is her, what, 3rd, 4th?
This is her 4th time killing him, right? She did it.
Shoe store, umbrella, kitchen knife, now.
Yep, 4 times.
So we are up to 6.
Yes.
Because Piper killed him once with a box cutter and Prue killed him once off screen. So 3 more kills.
So back at the manor, Piper is just throwing stuff in a pot and boiling it. And Prue's like, what are you doing? And she's like, oh, this is something that Grams used to do. She would say she was just keeping her hands busy, just boiling random ingredients. And I'm like, Piper, did you not realize that she was making potions?
Like, she was clearly making potions. Come on.
And I get you not getting that before you knew that you were a witch, but now that you know that...
Come on. Which, I'm sorry, I know this is not the sort of thing we can really get into so much, but you know, you could just, like, trap him in a painting or something, right?
Or a ring.
Or an amulet. Or a skin suit, like... I mean, probably not a skin suit, but, like, you have a lot of options that aren't kill this guy.
Well, I mean, they're the charmed ones. Like, they're the ones who are supposed to bat cleanup. Like, when other witches have trapped people in amulets, they're the ones who are supposed to come in and, like, actually, you know, finish the job. So it probably feels anathema to them to, like, put it there for some future witch to have to deal with.
I mean, they just need to take him out of play for the next 12 hours or so.
Oh, yeah. Oh, I forgot about the ticking clock. Yeah.
And they're like, we can't just let him go killing indefinitely. And it's like, okay, first of all, he wouldn't be. Like, even if he... I mean, obviously, you can't just let him go around killing people, but, like... He'd only be killing people for 12 hours. You can only kill so many people in 12 hours.
I mean, do you even need to magically confine him to something? Can't you just have... I mean, I guess this is still magic, but can't you just have Cole come and grab him and bring him to hell and, like, stick him in some sort of hell cell for a few days?
Yeah. For plot reasons, he has the ability to break through Piper's freeze, which he shouldn't.
There's no way he should be powerful enough to do that. It's just, as you said, for plot reasons, so she can't just keep freezing him until the new moon.
Which, okay, I like this concept, but it's not tied in at all. I would like if the fact that he was a good witch's familiar was the reason that Piper couldn't freeze him.
If none of their powers worked. See?
I'm sorry, there are just so many... Not to Monday morning quarterback, but there are so many...
I mean, that's kind of what we do.
That is sort of the point of all podcasts, isn't it? But
also,
all pop culture podcasts.
We do kind of do a little rewrite. A lot.
Yeah. But, like, you couldn't... There are so many cool directions this plot could have gone in, it just doesn't.
Nope.
So we cut from Piper just messing around to Grams... I mean, Grams is finishing the potion that will seal the girl's powers forever. Probably. I mean, they're the charmed ones. Grams is a powerful witch, but how much does I guess your magic does stick around after you're dead, because, like, the go-go boots she enchanted.
Oh my god, right?
Or that ring that turns you into Donna Reed from the Donna Reed show.
God. Actually...
Sorry, go on.
I was just going to say Donna Reed was actually pretty cool. Like, the actress Donna Reed.
Oh, okay. I am not familiar with her at all outside of as a lyric in Little Shop of Horrors.
It's just weird how, like, she became synonymous with the perfect housewife that she played in the Donna Reed show when, like, she was a producer on her own show. She was kind of out there kicking ass before
Lucille Ball.
Oh, no, I think she was contemporary with Lucille Ball, but I meant before it was common for women to be out there kicking ass like that.
It wasn't like a Hedy Lamarr situation, though.
She did not invent Wi-Fi. But she did, it's funny too, because she did want to do, like, when she was developing the Donna Reed show, she had all of these ideas, like, what if Donna Reed was, like, a matador? Like, I don't remember if that was actually one of them, but she had all these wild ideas, and they were like, what if she's just, like, a wife and mother? And she was like, okay, fine. Whatever. Paychecks cash the same.
What if it was Bewitched, but no one had magic powers?
Donna Reed actually...
I know it predated Bewitched by... I know Bewitched was, what if Donna Reed did magic?
Yes. But anyway, it's just weird.
And wore pants.
Yes. Anyway, it's just weird that Donna Reed became kind of synonymous with the character when, in fact, she was...
That's why you don't name characters after yourself.
Yep. Kathy Geiswhite learned that lesson.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's why I learned from Jamie Loftus's ACK cast that she told Liz Johnson, who did For Better or For Worse, not to name the family the Johnsons, because then she would be stuck being associated with those characters for the rest of her life.
Did she tell her to not turn the family into a weird simulacrum version of her own family that she could control?
I feel like that's implied when she says don't call them the Johnsons, but
given what happens with For Better or For Worse, which, my God, how is there not a documentary about that? Because, for those of you who don't know, For Better or For Worse is what do you call it, a soap strip? I mean, because it had jokes, but it also had, like, ongoing dramatic plot lines, but also characters aged.
It's a weird strip, because it started out gag of the day, and then, like Kathy style. But then, as you said, continuity became more and more important, and it did shift into a dramatic strip.
I mean, one of the more interesting things about it is that the characters aged in more or less real time.
Yes.
Like, they started out as... The kids started out as babies, and they were full-grown adults with their own families by the end. But they were loosely based on her family. The comic strip artist/writer based the characters off of her husband and kids. And then when her husband didn't want to have another baby, she just had her character have another baby.
Mm-hmm.
Or the the female character. She had the female character patterned after herself. Had a baby in the strip, and then, like, when her daughter left in real life, she wrote a storyline where the daughter leaves and comes back
and marries her high school boyfriend.
And there's a whole weird wish fulfillment aspect to this.
About a year or so ago, I went looking for... I was like, surely someone did, like, a long-form journalism story about this, but I couldn't find anything. Like, nobody's really delved into it, like you said.
And it's interesting, because For Better or For Worse is a really good comic strip for most of its run until you get to the end stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it was pretty progressive for its time. Like, it got pulled from a bunch of newspapers when they had a character came out as gay, and it was a big dramatic storyline, and it got them dropped. And it's honestly, it's really well written and drawn for a lot of its run. It's just, it ends on this very, very unfortunate note.
What's funny is this is also the plot from Gone Girl with Amazing Amy.
Yeah.
Where in Gone Girl, the girl, the eponymous girl, her parents wrote children's books modeled after her, but, like, when she decided to quit violin, they wrote a book about how Amazing Amy wanted to quit violin, but she stuck with it because perseverance is important. And then, like, when she didn't get married, they wrote a book about Amazing Amy. Like, they wrote, like, a like a big finale book where Amazing Amy is all grown up and getting married. And yeah.
Oof. And then she married Ben Affleck.
Mm-hmm. So I really like the novel, and in the novel, Nick is described as having a punchable face, and then when they cast Ben Affleck, I was like, chef's kiss.
Yeah, I like Ben Affleck, but
He just has a punchable face!
Well, I like him in the context of sad Ben Affleck memes, which is, it's not a good thing because he has a lot of issues in real life, and he is probably genuinely a sad person, but I've used the picture of him smoking on that balcony countless times because it is just this perfect encapsulation of despair. Like, the image says despair more than words ever could.
Yeah. Yeah, it does.
And that's the thing about Ben Affleck. He does despair really well in real life. Like, there were pictures of him on a yacht or cruise or something with Jennifer Lopez, where he's next to this amazingly beautiful woman on this super fancy yacht, and he just looks so sad.
Well, does he just have resting despair face?
He might. Oh, or those pictures of him trying to pick up all those Dunkin' Donuts boxes that got dropped outside of his house. I mean, there's so many of them, and they're all beautiful. It's a work of art. I could have a sad Ben Affleck theme to the house, just framed pictures of him being sad everywhere.
I mean, I don't want him to be sad. I have nothing against the man personally.
No, I don't either. It's just you said he has a naturally punchable face, which is
he does, yeah,
which is true. But he also he encapsulates despair so well.
He does.
Oh my God, Charmed. So back in the flashback, Gramps is just messing around with her hands in the kitchen, which would be just a huge waste of food and roses if, that was what she was actually doing instead of brewing potions. But Piper comes in. Piper's like, are you making something? Can I help? I was going to bake sadness cookies because I'm a single, lonely woman who works at a call center and, people spit on me when I walk down the street. And Gramps is like,
I was going to do that food porn scene from Bridesmaids where Kristen Wiig makes herself a single cupcake.
Yes. And Gramps is like, you always liked baking and cooking. Why don't you become a chef like you always wanted to? And Piper's like, being a chef won't pay the bills, Gramps. And Gramps is like, really?
Yeah, it would. I mean, it's not...
I think she says cookies don't pay the bills, actually, but they could.
It's not outrageous. It's not like she's saying she's going to go be a
professional kazoo player.
Right? Chef is a career.
Yeah, a career that you can make a fair amount of money at.
You're in a big foodie city. This... Whatever. Whatever.
It's not like she follows that dream anyway. She opens a club.
It's true. Anyway, Grams, we see after Piper leaves, puts the potion, she takes it out of the pot and puts it into a very ornate potion bottle.
An incredibly sinister looking potion bottle. And she's like, oh, my sweet girls, you won't survive what comes next.
So I do want to say that when Piper was in the kitchen, she was like, oh, hey, if you're just keeping your hands busy, you should put some sea salt in here to balance out the mustard seed. And that's fine if Grams was just doing stuff willy-nilly, but that potion's still good, Grams? Even though Piper added other ingredients to it, still good? Okay, whatever.
It's like they say in rocket science. Close enough!
Anyway, in the present, the cat familiar Warlock is in the living room taunting the girls. He's like, hey, you should kill me or else I'm just going to go around killing a bunch of other people.
And Piper freezes him and she's like, oh, what if I freeze him forever? Apparently forgetting that earlier in the episode he broke out of a freeze.
I don't think she noticed that he broke out of the freeze. I think that was just for our benefit.
But he breaks out of this freeze and he's like, as the hour draws nearer, my power grows, because that's convenient to the plot, I guess. And they're like, let's walk into another room. I mean, they don't even. They just...
So he starts walking away from them. Because he's like, well, I'll just go out and kill a bunch of people if you're not going to kill me. And...
Yeah, Piper could just freeze him. Like I know he broke out of it, but couldn't she just freeze him a little bit and keep freezing him a little bit until they, tie him up or whatever? Can he teleport? I don't... He doesn't seem really like he has powers, but Prue just telekinesis kills him.
Yeah, by throwing a letter opener at him.
And she's like, I'm sorry, I just couldn't listen to him anymore. So that's 8? Are we at 8 now?
I think we're at 7. No, we must be at 8. Oh, yeah, because they killed him with... I don't know. It doesn't matter.
Whatever. We go back into a flashback where Grams is talking to Patty's ghost about stealing the girl's powers away forever. And Patty's like, no, they have a destiny. They're going to be the charmed ones. They're going to save the world. And Grams is like, Patty, I lost you, and it nearly killed me. I can't bear the thought of losing them. And they are not going to be able to survive against evil.
She also says that when she dies, they'll come into their powers, and they're not ready for that.
Which is not true. There's a 3-year gap, apparently, between her dying and them getting their powers back. Which, I'm pretty sure that Grams died, like... Oh, God, I don't know. I don't know what the timeline was in the pilot between Grams dying and them getting their powers, because Piper was engaged to Jeremy.
Yeah.
But also it seemed like Grams died recentishly.
Well, Phoebe didn't go off to New York till after she died, right?
In this episode, yes. I don't think that was the case here. I mean, I don't think that was the case originally.
This episode just doesn't fit in with continuity at all.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure Grams was alive when Phoebe ran away from New York to look for their dad, which is also apparently not continuity now. But Grams is like, I'm sorry, Patty, but I need to seal away the girls' powers for their own good.
And then she blows out the candle to, like, cut off her communication with Patty, which seems like such a dick move. But then she has a heart attack at the top of the stairs and falls down the stairs and dies. And,
God, I don't think this works with continuity.
Yeah.
And Piper finds her and she's like, no! Also, Phoebe and Prue are there.
So this is when their powers should have unlocked.
Yeah.
Whatever.
So, no, I guess that was the 7th time, because we cut back to the present and they vanquished the guy in the attic.
Yeah, we cut to the sisters in the attic, and we just see Shadow with like a fireplace poker in his chest, and the sisters are like, oh, well, that's 8.
I guess he's just gonna become an immortal demon we can't stop. In which case he would probably kill way more people than if you just let him kill people for the next hour or so. But Piper's like, wait a second. He feels pain every time he dies. What if we multiplied that pain? Wouldn't that stop him somehow?
Well, like, he's not really feeling the deaths because...
She points out that he screams in pain every time they kill him, but it's a brief thing. What if we made him feel actual death, and then that would actually... What is that?
Well, the episode's almost out of runtime.
And that's what you came up with? What? I don't get why this is supposed to work. You know what I think? I think this is them actually coming up with a vanquishing spell, and that's what kills him. And not this weird thing where they stab him with random objects, because that's never been how you kill demons or warlocks. I guess, like, Javna got killed when you stabbed him. I'm sorry. Javna got killed when you stabbed him in his, like... Third eye thing.
Okay, but...
Or, no, wait, it was the demon from the future that had the third eye thing. Prue had to make that Hand of Muhammad to kill Javna. I'm sorry. Javna! Which, God, how weird was that, right?
Yes.
Was it?
I mean, they're not though. They're not writing a vanquishing spell. They're specifically saying he has to die 9 times. But what if we actually made him feel what 9 deaths really feel like? Like putting too much air into a balloon.
It doesn't make any sense. And again, I know it's Charmed. There's only but you have to try more than this. You have to try more.
Apparently you don't.
I guess you don't, but like, why would him feeling all the pain of all 9 deaths kill him for realsies? How does that work? You know what? I remembered liking this episode when we get in, when we were starting to watch it, but it really honks me off now.
Yeah. It's kind of insulting how little they tried in this episode.
Yeah.
So back in the past, Piper and Prue are like, hey, based on where Grams died, was she in the attic? Because she always told us that door led to nowhere and definitely to not open it ever.
And Phoebe's like, she was probably just doing old lady crap, whatever. I'm going to go to New York. I want to live in New York. I'm going to live in New York now. And they're like, you're just going to abandon Grams? And she's like, Grams is dead. And it's not like you guys want me here. And they're like, well, that is true.
Yep. I mean...
So did Roger tell Prue that, like, Phoebe stopped by his apartment to sleep with him on the way over to New York, or...
I don't know. Maybe.
But, like... Yeah, they're going to go their separate ways. Except, obviously not, because Prue doesn't marry Roger.
For some reason.
I mean, because he sucks, but...
Right, but, I mean...
And then she continues working with him for 3 more years.
Well, she didn't really have a choice.
At the museum?
Yeah.
And she could have just found a different job like she does at the...
Oh, yeah, okay. Sure.
I mean, I guess she ended up quitting because he got promoted over her because he took credit for all of her work. So I guess she didn't have a good reason not to work at the museum until that happened.
I mean...
Close proximity to your ex.
Especially an ex that ended so acrimoniously. Like, that's...
And then she worked with him for 3 more years. That's...
Yeah, it's weird.
But, yes, they are separated as sisters. So, did one of them develop the picture and then hang it up on the wall?
No, we saw Grams do that before.
Oh, right.
Yeah. Because she used her magic to move them closer together in the picture than they actually were.
Because that's how telekinesis works. I mean, I guess you could...
I assume it was a clamor.
Oh, yeah, I guess that... Yeah.
Which means, by the way, that in the episodes where the sisters are fighting and they move further apart, that's the that's the reality. The closeness is the illusion.
But then we get... Honestly, it's a pretty cool shot of... it's like a time-lapse shot of the front hallway to bring us back into the present. And, yeah, they're preparing to vanquish the cat demon for the last time by reading this spell that makes him feel the pain of...
So he bursts into the manor and is like, okay, kill me the 9th time.
Does it take him a little while to come back?
Yes.
Okay.
So they say that when they're up in the attic, they're like, in the time it takes him to recoalesce, we have to figure something out.
But they...
Also, he quotes Apocalypse Now. He's like, I love the smell of defeated witch in the morning. Smells like victory. He does. He quotes Apocalypse Now.
It really bothers me how much it feels like no one was trying on this script. Like, that's not clever. It doesn't... What? What are you doing? But yeah, they do the potion, they throw a potion and they say a rhyme and he's like, oh no, I'm dying, but for reals this time. I'm like, you couldn't have made it look more impressive? Like, it's a little more impressive. It's like a slightly showier explosion, but... It really doesn't look that different from his other vanquishes.
Well, no, we see 9 spirits, like, whipping around him. because those are the 9 times he died.
Okay, whatever. Yeah, I mean, I guess. And then he blows up, but it's brighter this time.
Yep.
And they're like, ooh, that felt like a real vanquish. Which, I mean, I guess it felt like a real vanquish because you used a potion and rhymed at him, which is usually how you vanquish people.
Yep. Anyway, Phoebe is not one to dwell on victory. She's like, well, it was nice we got to do something as sisters before Piper leaves us forever.
It's nice that we got to do something together for one last time. And Piper's like, I'm not moving out. It was barely a subplot. Like, it was the main point of this episode, and yet it was barely a subplot. Like, we talked about it briefly in the beginning. I got boxes at one point. Nothing. I'm sorry, that doesn't happen yet. We get Piper sitting with the boxes, and we get her looking at the picture, and Leo's like, so are you ready to leave?
Well, and the potion bottle that Graham's made, because now that she's a witch, she realizes that what was in the potion was a spell to take away their powers. So she's like, holy shit, Graham's is gonna take away our powers!
Should be a bigger moment, honestly.
Well,
that should be the crux of an episode. But Leo has just finished loading all of their stuff into the car.
Right, and it's the next morning, by the way.
And it's the next morning. And Piper comes out and she's like, you know what? I've decided that we're not going to move out. And Leo's like, you waited until I got all of her stuff in the car?
She literally did!
Oh my god, why would you... Also, okay, so are they not renting that apartment again now, or what? I'm assuming that they had the apartment ready for them. Otherwise, that's pretty presumptuous, Piper.
Oh, okay. I would not assume that because as somebody who used to work in residential real estate, and this is one of the reasons I prefer commercial real estate now, people would come to closings and there would be like an issue holding things up, and the real estate agent would be like, but they have all their stuff in a U-Haul in the driveway right now. And I was like, you know that things can go wrong at the closing table. Why did you tell them not? Like, why didn't you tell them not to do that? So, yeah, this isn't unbelievable.
But, yeah, so Piper's like, you know what, Leo? I've decided that I want to stay in the house. And Leo's like, okay, that does not affect me at all.
She's like, yeah.
I don't care. I have no possessions.
It's true, he doesn't. But yeah, if Grams is going to take away their powers because they were going to be separated, then maybe they should stay together. And then Prue and Phoebe try to do like a joke where they're like, well, I'm sorry, but you have to move to the bigger bedroom because there's 2 of you now. Except they don't even do it with that much, like...
Yeah.
They're like, you have to move to the bigger bedroom.
Which... So, I guess Prue moved into Grams's bedroom?
Yeah, that's what seems to be the case. And, by the way, the bigger bedroom has an ensuite bathroom, because we've talked before about how many bathrooms are there.
Okay, so 3, then?
1 upstairs, 1 downstairs, and 1 in the master bedroom is what appears to be the case. Yes.
Okay.
So there should never be an issue.
Yeah, there should never be an issue.
Maybe there's just 1 downstairs... Or maybe there's not 1 downstairs. Maybe there's just 1 upstairs and 1 in the master bedroom.
I guess. I mean, there was that one with the standing shower that Barbas nearly killed her in that I don't feel like we've seen since the first Barbas episode.
I think that's the one that's in the master bedroom. I think that's the one.
Oh, yeah, you're right, because they were sharing a shower. They were sharing a shower earlier, and the other bathroom is the one that has the bathtub in it.
Yeah.
Where Prue is nearly drowned by the Dream Sorcerer, and where Piper hid from the movie monsters when the movie monsters came to life.
Yes. So 2 bathrooms.
2 bathrooms. But yeah, I guess Prue's moving back into... Wait a second. But Phoebe's like, and I get to move out of the smallest bedroom, which, if there were 4 bedrooms... Why was Phoebe in the smallest bedroom? Why didn't she just move into one of the other? Why didn't she move into the other bedroom? Unless it's also whatever. Who cares? Episode over. God, I remembered this episode being so much better than it was, and I like so much about the concepts behind it. I would love to see just a Graham-centric flashback episode.
Well, it feels like... I kind of, as we've been talking about it, I've kind of figured out what feels weird and off about it.
Mm-hmm.
We said before that it seems like a filler episode, but it also feels like they took like 5 half-baked plots and...
Smooshed them together. So as we're watching it, we're like, can you choose one of those plots and bake it fully, please? So, much like the Charmed ones, we have our own power of 3. The first power in our pack is Premonitions. Who in this episode is, was, or will become famous? I didn't recognize anyone. Did you have anyone for this?
So I do, but only because I looked it up, because I have not watched this show yet. But the witch who died, whose name, by the way, was Ariel.
Okay.
Now I'm just like, Ariel, and the familiar was called Shadow, and like there could have been like a Caliban thing going on. Like another plot you could have baked fully. Anyway, the woman who played Ariel was Sherry Psalm, who is one of the stars of The Fosters, a show that I've not gotten around to watching yet, but...
Yeah, I've heard good things about that.
Yeah.
She's one of the moms, right?
Yeah, she's one of the moms.
Yeah, I can see that now that you've mentioned it. I've also never seen The Fosters, but I've seen so many commercials for it. Huh, yeah.
So, yeah.
Yeah.
And good for her, because this episode was not nice to her.
No, it was not. Killed by a cat.
I'm glad she got her own show.
The second power in our pack is Time Freeze. What specifically dated the episode for you? Fighting over the newspaper
that
at the
was
breakfast
mine.
table. Yeah.
Yes, having to share a single newspaper instead of everyone just reading the news on their phone, if that's what you want to be doing.
Yeah.
Newspapers.
Newspapers.
Print media is dead.
Sad but true.
Yep.
New York Times bought Wordle. And that will bring us to the third power in our pack. Telekinesis. What, if anything, moved you this episode?
No telekinesis for me this episode.
Okay, it doesn't work continuity-wise, but I do really like the conversations Grams has with Patty. And I would have liked to see more of that.
So the conversations with Patty could have worked in a different episode, but the way they happened here, they just irritated me because they were treated so casually, and we know how much it hurt the sisters to not have their mother.
Also, yes, I know what I just said, but also this does feel like the first time Patty has appeared casually, because when she has shown up in the past, it's always been a really big deal. It's been for big things, like when Prue is drowning, or to usher Sam into the afterlife. Sam, her old white lighter, who spent his whole life trying to fight the demon that killed her. Or, Piper's wedding. Like, she showed up for big things, and this is sort of a very casual way to bring her back.
Yeah.
Which does kind of rob from the specialness of Patty.
And from the sisters' grief. Like, they've been grieving pretty much their whole lives, but they could have seen
her whenever they felt like it, if Grams had let them in on the whole witch thing.
Exactly. Yeah, so this moves me to be irritated with Grams.
All right, do you have... I believe that will about do it for our segments.
Yep, that's it for our powers. Next week's episode is San Francisco.
Oh my god, this is the one with Lazy Leo. I love this episode.
The Charmed Ones, this is according to Peacock, the Charmed Ones fall prey to a demon wielding the 7 deadly sins.
This is the one where Piper gets greed, and Prue gets pride, and Leo gets sloth, and Phoebe gets lust, which is less fun, because it's just, Phoebe wants to have sex with men. What a new thing to do with Phoebe.
No, but I suspect this will be a nice palate cleanser after.
Yeah, I remember enjoying this episode. Although, of course, I also remembered enjoying this episode, so... But, yeah, I'm excited for next week now.
Me too. So I think that's it for this week.
Mm-hmm.
Our show is partially listener-supported. If you want to be one of those supporters, you should head over to our website, www.welcometotelevision.net, and click on our Patreon link. We'd like to thank our current $5 and above patrons, Beryl, Patricia, Rosa, Ryan, Maricruz, Benjamin, Kate, Jen, and Dan.
If you'd like to support the show in other ways, you could always rate and review us on Apple Podcasts. It helps other people find the show.
If you want to talk about this episode, or any episode of any television show, you should join our Facebook group, Welcome to Television.
We can also be contacted at I Love TV Zines on Twitter or at ilovetelevisionzines@gmail.com.
So until next time, I'm Tina.
And I'm Max.
And this has been Welcome to Halliwell Manor.